Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. So let's get straight to the point because we will discuss about a poem Crossing the Bar by Alfred Lord Tennyson using a typicast method. So basically, typicast method consists of title, paraphrase, connotation, attitude, shift, title, and theme. Today's presentation will be delivered by me, Zulfida Meisya P, with student number 121, along with my friends Tika Nurcahya with student number 126, and Ayu Mas with student number 91. So basically, Crossing the Bar is a poem about that, but it's written with a tone of peace and acceptance. Tennyson invite us to see that as a natural part of life. You can see the poem in here, and let's begin by discussing the first element, which is title. So crossing the bar is likely refers to crossing a boundary or threshold, possibly symbolic of transition between life and death, and the bar may be a metaphor for an obstacle or a passage. The second one is paraphrase. You can see the paraphrase here, but I can read it for you. The first stanza is, the sun disappears and evening star appears. Something clear is calling me. May there be no obstacle or complaints there when I pass through the sea. But the waves become calm, overloaded with sound and thought, when drowned into the infinite, back home again. Oh, it's the second stanza. For the third stanza, twilight and the evening seem, and then the coming night. Let there be no sorrow in goodbye, when I take my flight. Fourth stanza. Even though we are from a different time and place, the look took me far away. I hope to meet my guide face to face, once I have crossed the bar. Now, we move on to the next section, which is connotation. In this connotation, we have some points to discuss, and the first point is form. This poem consists of 4 stanzas with a consistent rhyme scheme, which is A, B, A, B. The next point is diction. Tennyson's choice of diction in Crossing the Bar creates a serene, reflective tone that emphasizes the naturalness of that. Words like sunset, tide, boundless deep, and the pilot create image of the sea and the cycle of life, positioning that as a final, peaceful journey rather than something to be feared.
Hello everyone, my name is Tika Nurcahya and I'm going to explain to you about the imagery, the point of view, details, allusions, symbolisms, and the other devices which is found in a poem Crossing the Bar. So, the first one is imagery. There are 5 types of imagery such as auditory, visuals, gustatory, tactile, and olfactory. The first one is auditory imagery that describes about what we hear, such as music, noise, and silence. So we found 6 auditory imagery in Crossing the Bar. The first one is clear call in line 2, morning in line 3, sea in line 4, a tide in line 5, bell in line 9, and the flood in line 14. The second one is visual imagery. Visual imagery describes about what we see, such as colors, shapes, patterns, and so on. So we found 12 visual imagery in Crossing the Bar. The first one is sunset in line 1, evening star in line 1, sea in line 4, a tide in line 5, foam in line 6, home in line 8, twilight in line 9, evening in line 9, dark in line 10, flood in line 14, pilot in line 15, and the bar in line 16. The third one is gustatory imagery that describes about what we taste, such as sweet, sour, bitter, and so on. So we found only one gustatory imagery in crossing the bar, that is foam in line 6. The next one is tactile imagery. Tactile imagery describes about what we touch and feel, such as texture, movements, and temperatures. So we found 7 tactile imagery in crossing the bar. The first one is sunset in line 1, sea in line 4, a tide in line 5, foam in line 6, twilight in line 9, bell in line 9, dark in line 10, and the flood in line 14. So the last one is olfactory imagery that describes about what we smell, such as nice fragrance and bad odors. So we found 4 olfactory imagery, and the first one is sea in line 4, tide in line 5, foam in line 6, and the last one is flood in line 14. The next is point of view. The point of view in crossing the bar is first person because the poem expresses personal thought and feelings about death and the afterlife. The next is details. So there are 4 details in crossing the bar. The first one is sunset and evening star that evokes the passing of time and suggests a peaceful acceptance of death, this symbolizing hope in darkness. The second is morning of the bar that refers to the transition from life to death, with the implication of sorrow that the speaker wishes to avoid, this emphasizing a desire for a smooth passage. The third one is boundless deep, that symbolizes the vast unknown of the afterlife, suggesting limitless possibilities beyond death. And the last one is hope to see my pilot face to face, that introduces the idea of divine guidance, that emphasizing a longing for spiritual connection and hope in the afterlife. The next is allusions. Allusion in crossing the bar is about religion. The concept of crossing the bar can be linked to various religious traditions that describe the soul's journey after death into the afterlife. The next is symbolisms. So there are 5 symbolisms in crossing the bar. The first one is sunset, that symbolizes the end of the day. The second one is evening star, that symbolizes hope. The third one is the bar, that refers to sun bar, that symbolizes the boundary between life and death. And the fourth is sea, that refers to the transitions into death. And the last one is violet, that symbolizes the god. So the next one is other devices. So the other devices that we found in crossing the bar is antithesis, that is life or sunset and evening star versus death or dark.
And now is slide number 7, which is figurative language. The first is simple example, which is but such a tide as moving seems asleep. We believe the speaker compares the tide or wave to something that is moving but asleep using the word as and emphasize with the word seems. And the next is metaphor example, which is twilight and evening bell. This line refers to the end of a day, which is time, but the actual meaning is age and the coming of death. And the next is personification example, which is and may there be no moaning of the bar, which is the bar actually cannot moan, but the bar is personified like a human or a living creature. And next is hyperbole example, which is the flood may bear me far. In this line, the speaker overestimates the power of the flood that can carry him far as if the speaker is just surrender and helpless. And now is slide 8, which is attitude and shift. First, attitude. We conclude that attitude in this poem is desire for a quiet goodbye and hopefulness. And next is shifts. First, we have shift in tone, which is we believe the major shift occurs between the third and fourth stanzas. Because up until this point, the speaker has been discussing the process of dying in peaceful, almost detached terms. However, in the final stanza, the tone becomes more personal and hopeful as the speaker expresses his belief in seeing his pilot face to face. And then we have shift in imagery, which is the transition from sunset and twilight to dark, represents the movement from life into death. And finally, slide 9, which is title and theme. First, title. We believe crossing the bar symbolizes crossing the boundary between life and death. The bar represents the point of transition, and the crossing is portrayed as a peaceful, inevitable journey to a new, unknown, but hopeful destination, which is an afterlife guided by the pilot. And next is theme. We believe the theme of the poem is the peaceful acceptance of death as a natural and inevitable journey. Tennyson suggests that death is not to be feared, but accepted with grace, as it leads to a reunion with a divine presence or God. Death is viewed not as an end, but as a return to home.
In conclusion, we have explored Crossing the Bar by Alfred Lord Tennyson using the TPCAS method. You can see our full poster on Instagram at poetica.lands. Thank you for your attention. We hope you can understand this poem through this video. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.